Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there behind this massive player screen. I mean, can you believe this? Look how freaking big. This is so massive. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm having problems. But hello friends, welcome to Board Game Buzz. My name is Carly and today we're going to be chatting all about the second season of Terrorscape. And you know, this screen is just too big. I'm gonna move this to the side here. Oh no. Oh no, it's falling apart. 1 second. I forgot about the dice. Oh. We're gonna slide this. Can you see this right now? So yes, normally that screen is going to be right in the middle, but it's too big for me to explain what's going on with it being set up. So it's just going to be off to the side right now, which is fine. The previous Terrorscape game had a very successful campaign delivered to all of its backers, and people just loved. They loved this hidden movement game. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I never actually saw the first crowdfunding project for it. I didn't even know this was a thing until it had delivered and people were talking about it. So I raced to try to find it. And of course I couldn't find it anywhere, at least anywhere for a reasonable price, right? So I was a little bit bummed out for a while. And honestly, I even have a video that's coming out, or a couple of videos that are coming out talking about the games that I'm the most proud of to have in my collection, and then another video talking about the games that I am unfortunately living without, the ones that are missing from my collection. And Terrorscape is actually on that list. It's one of the games that I want so badly to have in my collection, primarily because I love hidden movement games, and I've heard how good this game plays, specifically at 2. At the time of filming and posting this video, there is the current crowdfunding project going on for this game, so I'll make sure to have all the relevant links in the description below. So when I heard there was a second season that was coming out for it, that was going to be releasing on crowdfunding, I immediately hopped on it. I needed all the information, and Ice Makes was kind enough to send me kind of this prototype copy of the game so I could jump into it and kind of share my thoughts with you today. So that's what this video is. It's not an official preview, so I'm not really going to be going into details of how to play this game. I'm just going to really give a general overview and then jump into what I liked and didn't like about this game. If you are new to the channel though, welcome to Board Game Buzz. We're so happy to have you here. If you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, doing all the good stuff to support me and the channel, I would really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's dive into my first impressions on the second season of Terrorscape. Alright, so very briefly, a really kind of quick overview of how this game plays is Terrorscape is a one versus many hidden movement style game. One player will be taking on the role of the predator or the killer, and the other people around the table are playing as survivors. This massive player screen is going to be in the center of the table, and both players are going to be secretly working behind the screens, moving. If you are the survivors, you will be collecting certain resources that or repairing items that could potentially allow you to escape. While if you are playing as the killer, you are essentially hunting down and trying to murder at least one of the survivors. That's one of the ways that you win, is if you successfully kill one of the survivors. It does have a slightly asymmetric kind of side to the game where at each of the characters, I believe are there 5 or 6? I think there's 5 in the base game, 5 survivors and 3 heroes, but in any given game, 3 survivors will always be playing, 3 survivors, and then one of the predators or one of the hunters or the killers will be playing. And they all kind of operate slightly differently. They kind of have different abilities, different things that you can kind of go for or do. Now in this prototype copy of the game that I got, there was actually only one killer, so I've actually only experienced playing as this one. And then there were the five base characters that you could play as well. So it does have a little bit of asymmetry going on, which I always like. I always appreciate that in my games. Really quick breakdown of turns is essentially as the survivors, you will choose one of the 6 available actions that you can do on your turn. And then on the predator side is they will actually, their movement is more dictated by the cards that are in their hands. They will be playing cards that allow them to trigger abilities such as moving or searching, right? Possibly attacking the survivors that are on the board. When you do unlock a certain encounter, it's very, very straightforward. You have some dice, and the survivors will take that dice and and it might be altered depending on how scared they are. If they're more scared, then you won't be able to roll as many dice, but you will drop them into the dice tower. Yes, this screen is partially a dice tower, which is amazing. And then based on what comes out, you will then kind of calculate that against the strength of the killer. If the killer wins, then you will get damaged, and every hero or survivor has 2 life. So if somebody gets damaged twice, then game ends and the killer immediately wins. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what is essentially going to be happening in this game. There are a few differences and a few new things that they have improved upon with this second season. So I'm just briefly going to chat about that as well. One of the mechanics that they included for specifically for the Predator is a delay mechanic. So they are able to lay down cards or do abilities that actually don't trigger right away or allow you to do things in the future. So it kind of adds an extra element of suspense to the survivors. It just kind of clouds what they're doing a little bit more. There also is a new weapon and medical deck, which I don't believe the first version. Again, I've never played the first version of the game, so just kind of keep that in mind as I'm explaining this game. But I'm pretty sure that the weapon and the medical decks actually were not present in the first one. So it kind of gives players a little bit more variety, a little more things to go for, but then they can also kind of tailor what they are actually searching and going for based on their abilities a little bit more. A really interesting thing, though, that I really like that they added, which I can't imagine playing a game without this now, is they have a little bit of an elevation aspect to this game. So there are times where you can actually jump out a window or climb back up through the window, but you have to have previously placed the rope. So again, when it comes back to kind of clouding the judgment of the other person as to where you are, it kind of adds that extra element of where did they go? Did they really go out that window? Did they, like, as if you're playing as the killer and somebody suddenly disappears, well, they must have had a rope. Where would they have placed that? Because the killer doesn't know all the information that the survivors do. So it just adds that, again, just that extra element of clouding where people are, which I really liked that a lot. So in the original game, I believe, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you were also repairing a radio, which you can do here as well. You can repair this radio station to call for help. But there's another thing that you can repair on the board, which is this vehicle. You have to repair it and then also gas it up. So you have to find a gas can to then get gas up the car. But then once you do that, that is another way that you can escape. But there's another kind of epic ending, which I don't know how the first game didn't have this, because I think it's such a fun idea, is to have, it's like an epic showdown, like a final battle with the boss. Now, from my understanding, this is still definitely in development, this kind of final battle that's happening, but essentially you will, you have these cards which you can secretly read using these colored lenses, which kind of give you more information as to what you need to do in order to defeat the boss. So then once you go off of that information, then you can actually initiate a final showdown, which then potentially allows you to win the game that way. Based on my understanding of what the base game or the original campaign offered, I think this will feel very, very similar, but enhancing what the first season kind of brought. It is also important to note that if you do have the first season, you can actually mix and match the killers with the new survivors, with the different locations. As far as I'm aware, it is fully kind of replayable, and you can kind of mix and match, make your own kind of like story that you're building, which I really liked. So hopefully that kind of gives you a general idea of how this game feels. Inherently, I love hidden movement games, okay? Like Beast is one of my favorite hidden movement games of all time. I love it. Give me all the hidden movement games because I'm just here for it. And the very first thing that I kind of wanted to touch on in regards to this being a hidden movement game is I was actually pleasantly surprised at how straightforward this was. Even when you are going through the rulebook, and again, I was working with a prototype rulebook, so it was a little bit more complicated because it was essentially just like a document sheet with no pictures or anything. So I actually went to the original rulebook first, and then went back to the document because they had highlighted everything that was new. So by so doing that, I was actually able to go through and read the rulebook very fast. And after you read it, you realize, oh, turns are actually very straightforward. It all kind of felt natural, and it didn't feel like it overcomplicated itself as well. So that was something that was a really big surprise for me, because when I looking at the cover and looking at the setup, it kind of looked, and even setting up the game. So this is something else that I'll mention, is setting up the game. I was just preparing myself, because there was a lot to set up. Simply building this player screen, as cool as it is, it was a little bit of a pain to set up the very first time. And I remember talking with Addie, and I had told Addie as I was building it, I said, okay, this is one, like whenever I get the final copy of the game, I'm going to build this, and then I will never build it again. I'm just going to set it up. I'm going to leave it, put it on a shelf. Maybe I'll have it right beside the game, and kind of use it as a talking piece, use it to lure people into playing this game with me, right? Because it is a little bit of a beast to set up. And the thought of having to set this up and then tear it down before every single game, like I'm just not going to do it. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not going to do it. I set it up, it's done. That's that. And again, this is prototype, so this very well might just be a prototype thing, but for the most part, it actually holds together really fine. It was a little bit finicky in regards to sliding the dice tower into it. So it's just something I'm just going to have to be careful of. So I was expecting a really heavy game. So it was a really nice surprise when I was able to sit down and crank out a game in like 30 minutes. It's a very fast playing game. The rules are simple, and it is very straightforward. But on the flip side is, maybe for some people, the setup, again, if you already had this set up, then it really shouldn't be too much to jump into it the first time, especially after having punched everything out, getting familiar. But if you were to sit and assemble this every time, maybe that gameplay won't pay off for you, because it is very streamlined, it's very straightforward, it's a very quick game. But then to have to sit and spend 10 minutes setting this up and setting everything, I don't know. You're just going to have to gauge yourself on if that would bother you or if it would be fine. Because it does have this awesome player screen, which, at least in my opinion, I've never seen before, it leads to just that awesome table presence, right? And that is what I love, games that have epic table presences, and this does. Addie, when I was setting this up, Addie walked by and she stopped. She said, "Mom, I want to play this game with you." I said, "Addie, might be a little bit too scary for you." And she said, "No, I want to play this game." So it does have that level of just interest, right? And it will draw you to the table. I also like how this player screen isn't just a player screen, just, a big cool thing. Yeah, it looks cool. It actually is functional. I really like how you have your characters at the top, so that everybody can monitor where everybody's health is at, right? The fear tokens that are on everybody. It also has spots for the keys to slot into, because I believe this is also similar in the first season. One of the ways that the survivors can win is by collecting, I believe it's 6 keys, and then all going to the exit. So that's something that they can do as well. And so I like how functional this was. There was even a spot for, if you were successfully able to repair the radio and call in the helicopter, well, then there's a designated spot on the top of this player screen that can track those helicopter movements. And you're just trying to survive long enough until that helicopter finally triggers, swoops in, guns down the killer, and swoops up and saves you all. A little note in regards to the gameplay is sometimes it can kind of feel a little bit repetitive, kind of what you're doing. Move to a room, make noise, leave, kind of maybe bounce around for a minute, and then come back, make the same noise again, then bounce around, try to stay away from the enemy. So there's a part of me that wishes that there was a little bit more strategic element to it, or there was something different kind of going on. But again, it's kind of that trade-off, because it is an approachable game and it is easy to dive into. That strategic level isn't quite as deep as I would normally like. But because of that, it is a quicker game, right? So it just kind of, you kind of have to weigh what is more important to you. Would you like a more strategic game? Because if you would like a more strategic hidden movement game, right, I would recommend probably Mind Management or Beast, or a handful of these other ones. But if you want one that is more approachable, quicker to play, quicker to dive into, and that you could really sit down, and I really think you could probably play this game with non-gamers, then this is the one that I would probably recommend. This was probably one of the more easier hidden movement games to dive into. So this is a 2 to 4 player game. I have only ever played this game at 2. Again, this is a first impressions video, so I usually do these videos after playing a couple times, and the couple times I played this, I have played at 2. I played as the survivors and I played as the killer. And I will say that, because you can play at 3 players and you can play at 4. And again, I can't really speak to it because I haven't really played, but I can anticipate that playing at 3 players would feel a little bit interesting because no matter what, 3 survivors are going to be in play. So you would have 1 player as the killer, 2 players taking on one of the survivors, and then another survivor that you guys are like cooperatively moving, or maybe 1 player is taking on the role of 2 characters while the other one just plays 1 survivor. I feel like that dynamic would feel a little awkward. I really wish that there was a way that you could scale this in such a way that maybe 4 survivors are, I mean, I don't know how this would work, but I wish that if you were playing a 3-player game, then each player could take on 2 different survivors. If you're playing a 4-player game, then that's great, right? 1 player plays as the killer, and then the 3 others will just play as survivors. However, having said that, even though you could do it, I worry that your turns will feel a little stale. I really like this game at 2 players because as the survivors, really all you can do is one of those 6 actions. And primarily what you're going to be doing a lot is moving, right? You're going to be moving a lot. And so sometimes I can anticipate if I was playing a 4-player game, I might just feel like I'm moving a lot and not really doing a whole heck of a lot. So I really like this game at 2. I don't know if I would quite recommend it for 4 necessarily, but I don't know. I haven't quite played it 4, so take my recommendation like this much right now. That's just something that I can anticipate maybe feeling a little bit weird. I do think this is a fantastic 2-player game though, so just kind of take that how you will. I really loved playing as the killer, and their moves and how they operated felt distinctly different from the way that the survivors did, because you kind of feel like you're playing a totally different game. I love the cards that you're trying to manage, right? I love the delayed effects were super fun. That was a really fun, interesting twist. Again, this is a prototype. I wish I would have had more of the monsters to dive into, because I only ever dived into, who's this one? Orion, the main guy that's on the cover here. So I wish I would have had more, because that's another great thing about this game is you do have that level of variety, right? You can kind of mix up the survivors that you're playing with along with the potential predators, and that's just the base game. If you do happen to get any of the expansions, well, then that just leads to more replayability, right? More monsters, more survivors, more things that you can mix into this game. I thought the final showdown was really fun. I only ever did it one time. And again, I know they're still kind of changing some stuff about it, but I liked the idea. I thought it was fun to have that final showdown, kind of like that final moment. And I think it should have a moment that can end like that. I think there should be a way that this game ends in a final epic moment. Just go for it. Win or lose, we are going at it and trying to get this monster. So I like that they are adding that. I'm excited to see what the final version is going to be for that. As far as other hidden movement games that I've played that I enjoy, Beast is still my favorite. I don't think anything will ever beat Beast for me. However, I think that this one would actually play better at 2. Very similar to this game, if you are playing a 2-player game at Beast, is whoever is playing as like the hunters, you are playing multiple characters, and I find it much easier to manage the multiple characters in this game, in Terrorscape, than in Beast. So if I was playing a higher player count, if I had 3 or 4 players over, I think I would naturally gravitate towards Beast because of I don't really want to encounter the awkwardness in regards to the survivor management here. But if I was playing a 2-player game, if me and Jordan just wanted to sit down and play a 2-player game, I would absolutely pull this off the shelf. It plays quicker. It's super easy to jump into. The rulebook even is most of the rulebook, a big portion of the rulebook talks about variants or about how to set up this building. So there's actually a decent amount that doesn't even have to do with gameplay at all. And most of the pages, at least in the original rulebook, that are talking about gameplay, it's actually just a little bit of text on the pages. So it really is an easy one to dive into, and I think it plays really good at that lower player count. So I really do think that this is going to become my go-to two-player hidden movement game. If I want to sit down with somebody else, play a hidden movement game, this is the one now that I'm going to pull off because it gives me that spooky feeling. I love the new things that this map is doing and kind of bringing, that's kind of enhances upon the first season. And it's just so much fun to work behind that screen and try to outsmart the other players, trying to get stuff done without making too much noise, kind of giving yourself away. Overall, I really, really enjoyed my game of Terrorscape. I said I am totally getting this. I'm totally getting a copy because I need one for my collection now. All right, so those are kind of my first thoughts on the brand new season of Terrorscape after playing it a handful of times. Again, I wanted to give a special shout out to Ice Minx for sending me this kind of early prototype copy of the game. I will make sure to have all of the relevant links in the description below for this video, including a link to the current crowdfunding campaign and any other information that you might need. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, it means so much if you could do that. It really helps support me in everything that we're doing over here. Hey, and if you've played Terrorscape before, please let me know if you would prefer this one or the original one, or like what bad guy would be your favorite to play as. But until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later.